hello everyone again, and welcome to Router Cross Connect episode 3. Today we will discuss all things related to wallets and interoperability. I'm your host Alessia, and I take care of business development and partnerships at Router. And I am joined by my colleague Ashutosh, who is the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer. Personally, I'm tuning from Dubai. It's early evening here, and finally the weather is normalizing compared to summer. Ashutosh, you're in Milan, right?
Yeah, weather is not normalizing. What you had until now was the normal Dubai weather, right? Now it is just getting better, and which is like less heat.
True, true.
so, so yes, I am in Milan, and I was supposed I was here for ETH Milan, obviously, which was a great, very close knit community, very well organized event, and on 7th I was supposed to fly to Rome, but when I was just checking out of the hotel, someone just flicked my backpack, and my passport, laptop, and Cartier glasses, everything kind of lost. And then I had to go to the cops and then visit the embassy. It was a weekend, obviously, nobody responding. So I'm kind of stuck in Milan. Otherwise, I should have been back in Dubai yesterday. But yeah, weather is warm here. Yeah, food is highly calorific, but yes, surviving.
Oh, that is sad to hear, but I hope you are enjoying good food in Milan at least. Cool. So we have very wonderful speakers today from Metamask, Sender, ShapeShift, Candide Wallet, Zerion, and Obvious. So all of us have joined, and in that case, I suggest us to run some intros. So Francesco, why don't we start with you?
For sure. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, I'm Francesco. I'm part of the DevRel and community team at Consensus, mostly focused around MetaMask snaps. And yeah, it's great to hear about ETH Milan. I was not able to be there. I'm actually originally from Switzerland, but Italy is very near, and was really looking forward to some Italian hackathons. And yeah, instead, like, we were pushing a lot of events around APAC. We actually organized a builder night last week in Dubai. That was really well perceived by the builders. But anyway, I'm probably the past like 10 years I've been dealing with developer communities, and as an engineer myself, I've been very passionate about hackathons and developer activations, and it's great to be here, and looking forward to this chat. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
That's very interesting. Actually, Switzerland has a wonderful community because I was there earlier this year for ETH Zurich, and it was organized in the university. Really nice set of developers, very high quality of discussions, and great to know
Yeah.
that you're from Switzerland. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
especially
fact,
because a lot of like also like diligence and auditing companies, they're all spinned off by the security department in ETH Zurich, and it's quite strong. And also the hackathon itself is great. But I think at the end of the day, we are just going around flagship hackathons, and all the top developers and builders in this space are all how do you say, creating this magnet around these flagship hackathons. I'm also a big believer that hit global hackathons are well organized. It's great to just see a lot of like high technical builders in this space. They're going around to those hackathons.
yeah, absolutely, and some very nice poker players as well from Switzerland.
Sounds good.
Cool. So we heard something about snaps, and here we have ShapeShift that is providing multi-chain snaps for MetaMask and other wallets. So Tim, would love to hear more about you, and please introduce ShapeShift to our audience.
Yeah, hi. GN to everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I am the product workstream lead at ShapeShift DAO. It is actually one of the older brands I think everybody remembers. I wouldn't say we popularized the widget, but I would not say that either. We've been around for quite some time, and we actually decentralized into full DAO. I think we were one of the first ones to do it a while back. I joined this team about 6 months ago after quite a long stint at MakerDAO, so definitely not my first DAO rodeo. Excited to be here and to talk about the multi-chain snap specifically. ShapeShift is a route, it's a dApp, it's a wallet, it's many different things. It shifts in and out, hence the namesake. And most recently, last month, we partnered with Consensus after about a year of working and finally got the Metamask Snap shipped and out for any user. So if you go to app.shapeshift.com, you'll see a nice splash screen. If you have Metamask, just connect it. And you can now bring your MetaMask assets to other chains like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, which we have a bunch of fans in there, all seamlessly and through our app, including other things like portfolio views, NFTs, all that fun stuff. So that's an introduction to the Snap. I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah, that's really nice to know, because I remember first time I heard about MetaMask snaps was last year, I think in London, in one of the conferences, NFT London, or just before that. And that, that time I was involved with a substrate based layer 1 chain as well, and we were kind of trying to get MetaMask integrated, and that is when Vijay told me about snaps, and Vijay was now leading Linea, obviously. So that was the first time I heard about snaps, and the journey that snaps has kind of covered, and now with the multi-chain snaps, it's really been amazing. So kudos to the team, kudos to ShapeShift as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a great journey, right? Full of like ecosystem partner and trying to extend this functionality of the wallet. And that's why, like, I think interoperability is a big topic, and I'm very excited about this space.
Awesome. So we are moving to the next speaker, Marc. Yesterday we spoke how Candide Wallet is focusing on bringing newbies to Web3. So I'm sure our audience would be keen to hear how you intend to do that. So please go ahead.
Hi everyone, can you hear me well? Just making sure my microphone is good. Yes, perfect. So great intros. I'm Marc. I'm part of the Candide team, and we're simply building open source account abstraction software. So we're the team behind Candide Wallet, and you might be familiar with it with social recovery, gas abstraction, but we are also contributors to 47 within OpenStack. That's a little bit in a nutshell, and I'll let the others speak.
Great. Thank you, Marc. So now we will get to SenderWallet. So in fact, Sender is the first wallet where I've used Near. So keen to hear some updates from the team. What are you focusing on? So yeah, please go ahead.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone, this is Joey, the Community Growth Manager, and I'm also part of the product team at SenderWallet. And SenderWallet is the first multi-chain wallet built on the Near protocol, like Lisa said. And the Near official wallet is scheduled to shut down at the end of this year, this month, at the end of this year. So we are now actually focused on to ensure smooth migration for all wallet users to have a smooth migration to Sender. And I'm excited to be here and join the upcoming discussion with a leader in the wallet industry. So thanks.
Thank you, Zoe. So we have Jebu here. He's a founder of Obvious Wallet, and I'm curious, like, what is the reason of such a name, and how does that relate to what you're building?
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me, Alicia and Ashutosh. And sorry to hear about your incident at Milan, Ashutosh. Hope you get back to Dubai safely. Yeah, thanks for asking me what's the reason behind Obvious, the name itself. And I think one of it was to, when we got into the space, it seemed pretty unobvious as to what we were trying to do and how we were trying to interact with Web3 and wallets as such. And we thought that it's high time that we got a wallet which was very much user friendly. So that's one of the reasons behind the name. And today we have probably one of the first wallets which had a full-fledged implementation of the 4337 standard, the smart contract wallet, which works multi-chain across pretty much all of the EVM wallets, the L1s, L2s, and some of the side chains also. In addition to that, we have Obvious Embed, which is a developer tooling which you can use to get these smart contract wallets within your dApp itself with pretty much just a couple of lines of code. And then we have Obvious Money, which is a purpose-built wallet which allows you to, it acts as a stablecoin wallet for you and gives you the fiat rails and so on, right? So essentially, it's a bunch of products which allows you to use Web3 without probably understanding the dirts of how the encryption works, how the cryptography works, and pretty much all the nuts and bolts. We just give you a plain simple user experience on top of it.
Yeah, thanks, Jebu. I mean, actually, yeah, not too concerned about returning back to Dubai safely, but yeah, I mean, once you lose your passport in a foreign country, and if you're not residing in India, right? And in my case, I hold an Indian passport, then the process is just a bit longer. But thanks to my colleague Ajay, who has also joined us in the spaces. So he had some good friends at Ministry of External Affairs, and they have been quite helpful. But apart from that, I think police and public service in Italy has been quite average, honestly. I had to wait for 4 hours just to get an FIR and stuff like that. But Ajay, I think let's also get a round of introduction from you. I think the crowd would love to hear that.
I've just sent him the proposal to join as the
Hi, everyone.
speaker.
Thank you, Alicia, for the invite. Thanks, Ashutosh. I am Ajay, and I am heading the business development for Router Protocol. And been with the team for past 1 year. Been an amazing journey. And really happy that we have such a good audience here, and really looking forward to have some good insights of what you guys are doing.
Cool. Great. And we are moving to Zerion. Abi, are you able to hear us? Because I remember that you had some troubles with the microphone. Okay. Seems Abi.
So I think Abhi, I think we are not able to get you, but in the meantime, a bit about router protocol as well. I think we are at a very exciting stage of our journey, and we have been in the interoperability space for a fairly long time, and now we are moving to a new architecture, a chain-based, decentralized. Solution for interoperability, and great news is we are going to go live with the V2 of our bridge, which will be called Router Nitrox, and which kind of promises to be at least 60% cheaper than any of the contemporary existing bridges. And obviously, the capabilities can be abstracted out in the form of an SDK, as an API, as a widget, and we are working very closely, with wallets, dexes, to kind of contribute significantly to the DeFi space. So that is where we are, and early next year we will also be going, live public mainnet with our chain. So we are at a very interesting stage right now.
Yes, that's about us. So now let's move to some questions. So I want to ask every speaker one question. So, in your opinion, what is the one single most important feature in a soft wallet, and why? Yes, just please answer.
I can let everybody speak. I just want to mention, the user friendliness, but probably most important is the customization of the wallet based on different experience needed. I think for now, after being in the space, after we see so many different kind of like users, we see different like journeys that people want to have. So they want to have also like customized features from like, think about like a DeFi heavy users or like an NFT focus users, right? So I think like definitely where we're moving is to a customized journey and customized feature for anybody out there that is using wallets.
If I could add on, probably what I would say is the biggest thing that I'd expect in the soft wallet is the ability to kind of, move on from the seed phrase thing that we have. Anything which allows you to make it more convenient for the user to interact with the wallet, something which makes it common, easy for a non-Web3 native to interact with wallet, with assets on chain. Anything which allows you to do that will be a really good moving forward. That said, understand that it's not really easy. That's also where probably some of the interoperability angle comes in. So we should have something which allows you to, easily move on from, say, obvious to Zerion or Candide, and then use the same wallet across, just like we can do with C-Phrase today. They can take it from a Metamask and use it with a Rainbow, though that it kind of seamless interoperability should also be there, but also something which allows you to move away from C-Phrase would be a really awesome thing to have.
I think you guys are also working with Bioeconomy very closely on account abstraction or something, right? Do you want to speak a little more about that?
That's right. So if you remember, we were one of the first ones who came out with the 4337 mobile compatible wallet itself. So we use Bioeconomy contracts underneath, and one of the reasons why we went out with Bioeconomy contracts is that it becomes a lot more easier for us to use a standardized contract, which is used across different implementations, which are used by different dapps and so on. So we have very close partnerships with Bioeconomy, and their contracts are the one that we use for the smart contract wallets.
Yeah, I mean, I can so relate to that, right? Because I lost my laptop, and then the first question in my mind was like, okay, where did I keep my seed phrases?
Yeah, very much understandable.
Cool. Tim, do you want to add?
Yeah, I think probably the number one feature is actually like a first principle of like execution, right? So that the thing just works, right? That can touch on so many different pieces, composability. It can touch on advanced features. It can touch on the ease of importing or exporting your seed phrases and security. But I think really the number one thing is that you just keep going back to that first principle of like UX that kind of drives a lot of stuff in our DAO, is just thinking through like the first principles of, does the thing work? Like if it doesn't work, can you figure out why? Can you make sure that your assets are secure in case you lose your phone, you lose your laptop? I think that's kind of the way that we sort of look at stuff. It's probably more from our history than anything else, but yeah, I mean, ideally it's just battle tested and functions really well, and then we can sprinkle in all the like fun stuff like account abstraction and making people save a lot of money on gas and sponsoring like gas golf hackathons, stuff like that.
Cool. Definitely UX is driving most of the innovation in the space and most of the adoption, in fact. Marc, were you saying something?
Yeah, so I wanted to add on probably like more towards the opinion of Jebu from Obvious, is that he commented on seed phrases. I mean, I would say the number one feature in a wallet is its security. And if you want to add something, is that without compromising on the user experience. So if you're opening a wallet, obviously the number one choice that you're going to be making is the wallet secure? And without all of the features that it provides, if it's not secure, then there's no point in having a wallet at all, because that's its main purpose. Now, account abstraction does provide the security feature without compromising on the user experience, and all the features that adds in is not only complementary but necessary. So that eliminating seed phrases is something that increases a lot in insecurity, not from just lost or like attacks on the wallet, but also like scams. Like if you receive multiple messages on Discords, you have no the users really doesn't have to think about seed phrases or like being phished because it's never written down on a paper, or it's never showing down. So that's our argument, at least like from our perspective, is that security is really like the number feature in a wallet, and that doesn't have to compromise the user experience at all.
Yeah, I wanna add also on the fact that, you know, like if we're building user-centric products, you know, like we want to also make sure that users are always fully aware, and there is enough like transparency on how you know, your wallet is interacting to any dapps out there, right? Same with like, I don't know if you, how many of you guys, but my same example, when I even don't know when is the last time I actually revoked permission to any, you know, plugin in Google Chrome, for example. You know, and sometimes these kind of things they're not being built for actually having a user-centric behavior, and where we know that Web3 is fully, you know, where consent should be the king, right? Sometimes we're actually like losing the way. That's why it's super important. Whatever we're building, we have the user centricity thinking, and it's also like there is a fully transparency around you know, when and what you're approving, but also like how you're interacting with any dapps out there, and most important, like having further data points around security. I think this is also a big part, right? Like having more like transaction insights even before like you're approving any transaction or you're rejecting any transaction. I think those instruments are being built like as we speak, right? And it's all a journey. Giving more tooling for users, I think, also is also like a big responsibility. Why everybody's in Web3, right? That you're just not owning your wealth, but you're also owning a lot of decision. And for making those decisions, it's also needed like you have different tooling or different, let's say, extra data points to make those transactions and approving those transactions.
Yeah, I agree. Just jumping in here. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Nice.
Finally, nice. GM, yeah, Abby from Zerion here. I'll just jump right in. I think there's two points here. One, we were kind of debating internally what's the most underrated feature in a wallet, right? So let's skip like the usual, you know, social or DeFi or sort of, you know, financial use cases. One that came up a lot is security. A week back, you know, this was after Balancer had this phishing attack. Our transaction simulation, it saved our founder's wallet, you know, from a phishing website. I think something as simple as this, just making sure that, you know, anyone at any point, you know, it's late past midnight, you're confidently opening a Discord DM that you've got without the risk of it, you know, sort of draining your wallet. I think that's one that definitely comes to my mind. But then the other, this is more, I guess, related to sort of our position as a wallet. We believe in this browser first, finance second use case that, you know, the whole space is moving towards, where you really come for the, you know, sort of the dapps and the Web3 social and the sort of like composable infrastructure, and then you stay for the finance and you stay for like the operational use cases that you get beyond, you know, what you think a wallet can offer you. I think a lot of us here are moving towards that direction. So that's kind of where I see, you know, Zerion positioning itself. But I guess a question to y'all, like we love Zero Dev, we love Biconomy, we love some of the wallets here. But we decided to not build a smart contract wallet, but rather a UA wallet, just because A, more expensive, you know, to deploy multi-chain, and B, like there is no real major smart contract wallet with like, you know, adoption and use case yet. One example would be maybe, you know, Cybertrek, for example, a very native ecosystem specific wallet that released recently. Like we helped them on the transactions infrastructure using the Zerion API, but we still see that like adoption is very, very much limited to the kind of chains they can support natively. So yeah, I'm curious to hear from y'all, like, you know, where
Jeb.
I
Yes.
think, yeah. Sorry, I thought I lost everyone. I mean, I guess I can comment to Abby. So So today, if you're seeing like a little bit not as much of an adoption for smart contract wallets, because today, like most users in crypto, they found one target audience, like in general. And if you see that, like the biggest adoption for smart contract wallets is safe, right? You have large companies securing treasuries on chain, and they choose the most secure option to save their assets into a safe. And it's a multi-sig. Everyone knows how a multi-sig works. It's much more secure than storing in an EOA. Now, for end users, who is the biggest target audience today in crypto? And I don't know if anyone like can answer this, or maybe make a comment.
Jebu, what's your stance on?
Sure. Were you done from your point? Sorry, I thought you had a question open and then you were going to complete that point.
Oh yeah. So the idea is that today, like most, the space is very like close. So you have a lot of the crypto use cases is the developer themselves. They're using crypto. The companies that are building in crypto, they're using crypto. So they're using safes. And then the end users are either exploring crypto a bit, using crypto maybe to find airdrops, and maybe that's maybe the most of end use cases in crypto today. So if they're gonna change for a smart contract wallet and they already have an EOA, it's a challenge to migrate, right? Like it's like saying I want to buy insurance, but you never pay for it. And that's a little bit on the side of end users. I want to have I already have an EOA. If I need to migrate to smart contract, it's gonna take me some time, move my funds. Is it really worth it? I think I'm secure. Now the next step is if you want to grow the cake, all of us together, that if you want to onboard new users to crypto, this is where account abstraction steps in. You get a much better experience similar to Web2. You don't compromise on the security. And then to make the argument on the gas, I think the gas on L2s specifically, I'm not going to argue for Ethereum, but on L2s, it really doesn't make the difference at all. If you're using a smart contract account or an EOA, just compare the rates, for example, on Polygon. You won't see any difference at all. So the argument for like higher gas cost is doesn't really apply for L2s, and this is where the scalability, at least as the Ethereum community, is targeting like L2s as the scalability solution for it. So that's a little bit on the on answering Abby's questions.
Okay, so just to add on to that, and we have experience because we have been building and we have been operating a smart contract wallet for some time now. It's on the same lines as you heard. The biggest thing probably is that if you concentrate over to EOE and then keep it over there itself, the audience that you have in Web3 are the ones who are native, who understands the nuts and bolts of what is going on. We are still not going outside of the people who are comfortable with what they have today, with understanding all of these things. We can definitely make the UX better, give transaction simulation, give deeper insights, all that kind of stuff. But still, I don't think you will get an exponential increase in the kind of audience you're able to attract over there, right? So simple things like gas itself, right? So why do you have to explain to the user whether there's a gas? And one of the things that we have done is give you the ability to pay gas in stables for now, but it's pretty much any token itself. So you could have an interaction with a DApp, and then the token that you're interacting with could be used to pay for gas itself, and then the user itself is not aware of what is going on underneath out. That there is, you need to get, for example, right now, if I'm going on to a different wallet, a different chain, and a new chain comes up, and then for me to get a transaction, I have to now bridge over ETH from mainnet onto Selenia, where I then get on and then start doing a transaction. It's not easy for somebody new to come in and understand all this stuff. Then you have the fact that the authorized bridge is only operating in there. You have the gas fees that is there. It's a big headache over there, right? So how do you get going without all this stuff? So which is where probably gas abstraction and the ability to pay with any token comes in a big deal. But I think we've also decided to get on with that and then say that if we were to bring in the net set of users and then have self-custody, right, which is what we're doing with something called Obvious Money. We're building a purpose-built wallet for the ability to have a stable kind of interface and almost like a replacement of what you want to do with a banking kind of a feel. That's kind of what we're doing. So the idea is to bring in almost like a fintech experience to the wallet itself. We give all the functionality which is there, give easy rails on and off to the traditional finance system, give a card on top of it, and it's pretty much underneath its self-custody wallet. You have your assets, you can be sure that it's with you, nobody's going to rug you, and it's go. So I think that's where we're going to get the next set of users in there, and that's what we should be working towards.
So do you guys use an interoperability solution provider, or do you add support to these multi-chain assets in which gas fees can be paid manually?
We do have interoperability across. We do have native swap and bridge built in. We use DeFi for that right now.
I just want to say before we move into the next question, like I really like the type of discussion here. I also like want to note that at the end of the day, whatever we're building, we have different type of users, as I kind of mentioned before, right? I will definitely see a future where we will see a fully, even when you're installing any wallet out there, you're literally saying, okay, who are you, and automatically we get like a form of customized kind of wallet with specific feature that actually matter to you, right? We see that a lot during hackathons. We see people that want to definitely have more transaction insights. When we're speaking with different users, you want to see that features like social recovery or light wallets kind of like are a big part of the journey. And then you have even other people that care just about interoperability. They just want to go from ecosystem to another, like without actually having problems or kind of headache. And then you have even people that want to create wallets for their kids, that they want to like make sure that they're not paying any gas fee, or they have limited transaction, or they can have fully phraseable wallets. So I think like at the end of the day, like, and this is also the beauty of our space, how it's evolving, right? Like we will get always more and more type of audience that are caring about specific features. And I think it's also like very important for us building like further the ecosystem, that we're just getting not just a community that is active giving feedback, but actually proactively building new features. And actually,
this space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
How do you say, like committing to have more feature and building together, right? Having this kind of like, that's where I'm trying to also push a lot of this narrative around the community, like enabling much more around like a permissionless innovation ecosystem, right? And I think that's where we like kind of like enhance scalability for any tooling and any infrastructure tooling, especially around different ecosystems. The only things, if you ask me, like what is missing a little bit is standardization, right? Like we are literally building islands, and we are thinking about afterwards, like how we actually building this interoperability, or how we actually building those bridges around the islands, not just for users but also for like developer tooling especially. So, and that's why I'm caring definitely more on the builder side, because I see that also sometimes being some blockers. But especially for AA, I'm definitely like big shout out to companies like Byconomy, Safe, providing great SDK, Pimlico, providing great SDK also for developers out there that want to build for their ecosystem.
You touched on a good point there, Francesco, if I may just jump in. Like, I encourage everyone here to actually check out, like, Vitalik's latest blog post, right, on enshrining within the Layer 1 protocol. I think this pretty much kind of is what you said. Like, we're collaborating on the same block space to now incorporate, both, I'd say, like account abstraction and also like PBS, proposer builder separation. Essentially, like from us, right, like we see the wallet Cambrian explosion as a necessity every DEX, every, sort of like fintech application, everyone's trying to build a wallet just because they realize that this is the number one retention mechanism really in the space. Like if you have a wallet, it's almost like a checking account or, any sort of place where you hold your funds. But also I think something here to add, like what you touched on in terms of user personas, right? Like we at Zerion, for example, we classify our users as Web3 citizens, right? People who might already be in the space, just using multiple dapps every day, making interactions. And for that, like the kind of features we're supporting, I think are different. Like we, recently supported all smart contract accounts as a tracked wallet. So people also use this as a portfolio tracker, right? So if you have a Biconomy or like a Cybertrek with the zero dev account, you can actually track the wallet's history and portfolio within the wallet. So I think for us and for everyone in this room, like it just makes more sense to work together. So that's like an important point, I guess, to call out. And like long term, I'm more excited on paymasters, signature aggregators. Essentially, how can we as a space build more modular infrastructure where if Obvious has this card and they want to work on this card with multiple other wallets in the space, and Gnosis also has their card. Like we're kind of building the stack of use cases that all of us can benefit from, and users will be almost like mutually exclusive across our platforms. So that's kind of wrapping this conversation up.
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek, Francisco, for those very interesting perspectives, right? So typically, we have always been seeing wallets as catering to the end users in Web3. But Francisco, you bring out a very pertinent point as wallets catering to the developers, because, it's, an average person would think that one of the key decision points for a dApp developer would be to choose which blockchain to build on. But obviously, one of the very interesting aspects is also to answer which wallet to support. And then you obviously mentioned about lack of standardization. So how do you see, I'm asking this question to you only because you're for catering to the developer community for the last 10 years almost. What is the developer mindset right now with respect to wallets, and how do you see aggregation or standardization happening in the next 18 to 24 months in the space?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question, right? I think like developer communities in general, like they're trying to test ecosystems. I saw a lot of like people when I started just starting with crypto zombies, going through Solidity, then testing the market, going different ecosystem with Rust, and then some people stay, some people going back. I think like it's, I don't know, it could be like some kind of like trend, but I think at the end of the day, what I'm realizing is that it's not anymore like the product is what matters, but it's also like the support and the how strong is your community, right? And I think that's where maybe even what people here can argue, right? Like that Solidity maybe is not the best to actually like pulling off a product, but like the community is much stronger. You have much more like the initiatives. You have much more, let's say, support in terms of like grants, if them to spinning like specific ecosystem hackathons, and it's very interesting, right? And I think that for standardization is an important factor. What I'm looking into, I cannot really answer like what I would how do you say, like what I see around standardization. I will definitely like see like how the future look like, right? Like I can actually say how the future of wallets doesn't look like, and I'm taking that kind of narrative from my colleague Christian Montoya, right? Like I don't think that we will have a future with like PvP, like a strong PvP kind of like network. I don't see a kind of a wallet that will fit all the journey. I still see a lot of different target users having customized feature wallets, and we will still have multiple kind of like ecosystem where we onboard a different type of persona. And also I don't see like it's also like a great question when people are asking like who is really responsible in the terms of product innovation, like who will bring much more innovation, and sometimes I'm asking myself, I don't think anymore like the company itself will bring enough innovation, right? If you really untapping this kind of innovation through a permissionless innovation narrative, through communities and through third-party developers, third-party builder, third-party companies, I think the community know exactly what they are looking for, right? So I don't think one entity will know the best, and I think that's where we're kind of getting like all these topics kind of like on a spicy level, because that's where really you can bring a community not just active in terms of feedbacks, but also active in further developing like your narrative, like your future. And I'm always bringing back, I don't know if it's a good kind of similitude, but I'm always bringing back like something like iOS. How many, I'm always like bringing this question, like there are around I think 4.7 million apps being built today, and only actually I think was 0.001% is actually being built by Apple. The same with like Google Chrome extension, right? Like we were checking around the extension there, I think around 150,000 extension, and actually something like 0.001% are being built by Google. This is just for trying to make a point here that the true innovation being built by products, like I think is actually being build driven by the community members, right? And I think it's also our responsibility to kind of untackle this and give much more like tooling to empower the community to actually build, and not just waiting for open PRs and issues. And so that's kind of the game, and I think it's super exciting because right now it's not just around snaps, but snaps has been 18 months on Flask. We saw a lot of like snaps being built by in hackathons by third-party developers, and it's really like interesting to see also new use case popping up that we never thought about, and also like standardize a way for everybody to further enhance the functionality of a wallet. This is what excites me, right? And I'm also like looking in a future where there will be some more standardization, and that's where I think where there is really like the innovation, how we really untapping like the fully permissionless innovation. Yeah.
Awesome. I really love what you were saying, how the community is the main driver for innovation and new features. And talking about community, we actually have a request to speak from someone from our audience. Would you like to introduce yourself and ask a question? Talking to Brodsino here. I'm not sure if I'm spelling it correctly.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. You're welcome to ask your question or add to the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Apparently, I'm a new user of cyber. So generally, I would like to know a little bit so that I can know if what I'm venturing into it's actually worth it, because there are a lot of projects out there that I've really gone into, and at the end of the day, they just come out as a work and time wasting project. So I really want to know the futuristic aspect of this cyber, and what the West claimable NFTs that we normally claim are going to be used for. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I understood your question. Can you rephrase it?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just like didn't understand your question. Can you try to rephrase it?
Okay. Like what I actually mean is, I want to know the futuristic aspect which we the Cyber Connect project are actually driving to, and also what the West NFT claimable tokens. I don't know if it's
What is
tokens or
CyberConnect?
NFTs. Yeah.
What is CyberConnect?
No, like the futuristic approach the cyber project teams are actually taking, like foreseeing like the futuristic goals, what we are actually aiming to get, and also what the Web3 NFTs, what we are going to be using it for.
Yeah, I see there might be like a misunderstanding because we don't have CyberConnect here. I mean, I can't comment for them. We work with CyberConnect, but I know that they have, their native wallet. They have a ton of interesting account abstraction use cases coming out. But yeah, the question is not relevant here for this panel.
Yeah. So, anyways, one of the interesting, points which keeps coming up is RWS, right? And having these discussions with some of the builders in the RWS space, like trade finance, some people are working on real estate asset fractionalization, precious metal asset fractionalization. One of the roadblocks seems to be the place where the interaction between crypto to the real world asset uh, is happening, right? So do any of the wallets present here have regulatory push in mind somewhere in the future in the roadmap? Because pretty much right now that is the big roadblock for RWAs. Or is that an opportunity to kind of create a wallet which is focused on enabling RWA protocols?
I think, Francisco, you have a MetaMask institution, right? I think you
Yeah.
can have.
Yeah, I
comment.
don't really know how to answer this one. Like I can interview the MMI team, but yeah. So basically, MetaMask institutional is the institutional like kind of like platform of MetaMask, and if you're like funds of funds, enterprise, different like target audience, and that are working directly also with custodian is definitely like a good solution. But I can intro you to the MMI team.
Yeah, not speaking on behalf of ShapeShift, but I think this might not be the best panel here to ask questions about RWAs. It's a super nascent industry, but it obviously taps into the largest liquidity sources that exist in traditional finance. Relatively speaking, like in my experience at Maker, we did a lot of some of the pioneering work there, and it still needs a lot of work. So like rolling that back up to individual wallets, like there are still primitives that are missing to keep those things as permissionless as we want them to be. And like allow those markets to really scale. That's kind of like the real issue. Like it's many different problems on top of them before they actually get filtered down into the actual wallets. So yeah, we can dive into this more, but it's probably not the best use of the rest of our time here. Really cool question though, and a really exciting space to see it happen. It's at its early stages, so there's definitely lots of people to follow out here on, formerly twitter.com, x.com. So.
Yeah, I have a question here actually. I mean, this is riffing off Francesco. He told me, I guess he told something cool on standardization, right? Question to everyone here, like the only thing we don't have standardization on is like we're seeing this explosion of layer 2s, layer 3s, like multiple chains. It almost feels like protocol summer of 2020. Yeah, so how are wallets really trying to solve for integrating chains? I know there's wallets like us where we're not really trying to integrate like every chain yet, but I'm sure, in a different market landscape, a wallet's only going to be as good as, the amount of assets and the completeness of integrations you have. So yeah, I guess it's a big engineering challenge for a lot of us. Curious how some of the wallets here are thinking about this space.
I can definitely jump on that one first because we went down the path of like one of our first visions as we started decentralizing was all chains, all wallets, which was wild. So very much to your point, it was a significant engineering challenge that we're still dealing with code debt from, I would say. I think I was going to make a joke earlier about DAOs being users and win standardization DAO, but it seems like that might actually be a pretty relevant idea, especially in the Cosmos space. That tends to be one of the biggest challenges for us because you can fork the consensus layer and you can fork a chain too. So it just becomes spiraling complexity everywhere. For us, that's just a ton of maintenance and trying to find that standardization layer. But I think it really comes back to that same point of just, how do we make sure that these cross-chain memos talk to each other? How do we make sure that these chains consensus layers are relatively the same? And it might just be, to Francisco's point, all of us actually deciding to work together, or at least I hope so.
Yeah, we add to that, like EVM versus non-EVM. Like, we were having a big discussion internally on, hey, like, if you want to support, I don't know, like Solana and some of these other like non-EVM standards, that's a completely different, like, they don't even have the 40 character sort of encoding. So yeah, I feel like to add to your point, like, for us, there's this long tail of chains and long tail of app chains, and every wallet or every DApp at some point is debating, whether you like to admit or not, like, an app chain or some sort of like a mechanism for revenue. But I think the reality right now is that this long tail is probably just 1% or even less of like actual volume and activity. But if and when that switches around, like, I guess infrastructure providers building for this have a huge moat, and I guess wallets can really help there in terms of sharing information. I think one fantastic group there is actually like, the 4327 Mafia for account abstraction. Similarly, there's a bunch for every other use case. So yeah, to add to your point, I think we're all focusing on first clearing our tech debt, and then thinking about how do you cater to like this Discord army of every chain, wanting their chain into your product.
Yeah, I want to also bring up, like, I think it's just like a journey. And by the way, yeah, 437, amazing resources for A. But like, one thing that I saw, like, you remember, like, when every portal on NFT were actually publishing like different type of metadata, and they were actually not interoperable at all. And then, what was that? Ethereum Magician came out with these NFT standards. Like, I think like something like this will happen much more. And it's really cool, that's yeah, it's really cool, like what happens gradually, right? And that's why it's kind of a journey. And even with snaps, like when we're speaking about non-EVM compatible snaps, we see almost like every day people starting to build their own snaps for supporting their own known EVM chain, even like on different layer 2s. And I think, at the end of the day, we can provide the instruments, but at the end of the day, also like the users will be the one that will choose their best path to execute things, right? And also, like, depending on how kind of like deep you want to go, how conscious you want to be, and how many data points you want to have. I think as we said before, right, there will be different path, and the only things that we can provide, I think, to the users is one great experience to understand the situation, like really doing a conscious giving like instrument to do a conscious decision. At the end of the day, it was also like moving away just for being how do you say, like just a piece of technology, but providing like a full stack of instruments. That's why also we're pushing a lot like the product narrative, but in the same time, like how strong is your ecosystem is also like being selected of what you have around, what is the developer tooling you're providing. Like within MetaMask, you can build, any game developer can build on SDK. They have a full playground API. The snaps is one big part, and I think this is one side of the medal. But in the same side, I think we are getting, this is like a journey, right? We're getting so much, like since the start. I was using 6 years ago, like when we were doing transaction on MetaMask, but right now, like when you see what really like is like what is this wallet is all about, I can really say that is at the end of the day like a cultural common, right? Is a mix of like different like experience, different tooling. And I think we will get much more in this direction, that wallets will be the kind of the provider of a much lower layer, where you see application being on top of that, but the application narrative is being driven by community and third-party developers, because those are the people that really know what users want. Like they're actually much more hands-on, and they can actually drive much more innovation at a faster pace. That's why our end goal should be also like providing this kind of tooling and technology. And that's why, yeah, I'm all excited about all this permissionless innovation narrative.
If I may add on to the thing, right? So in addition to the infrastructure which is required to index the chain, the data which is there on the token whitelisting, making sure that we have the right tokens to display in the wallet. The multiple chains additionally, what brings along is how do you move an asset from one to the other. It's not the infrastructure which is required, the bridges which are required to get not just tokens and messages across to make seamless activity from one chain to the other. That's also a big nightmare. So, and that's something which additionally is something that we might be able to we should be considering, and maybe we can evolve something where we can have stables moving across, and then on that chain itself just move across assets. But I think that's another area that we should be looking at as we see this explosion of wallets. How do we move assets safely across from one to the other?
Cool. And moving on to another question. So, how do you see soft wallets evolving? Like, what new features are going to be built? In what way are they going to be better from the wallets that we have now, let's say in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, let's give the listeners some alpha, guys.
I can just jump in briefly. I'll just say that wallets will be really like an extension of your identity. And when I say identity right now, you think of on-chain identity. It may include, RWAs, off-chain data points. There's a ton of other areas where you can really kind of see this playing in. And I guess like just metaphorically, why I say identity is that, even we're thinking about this at Zerion, right? If you ask about alpha, right? Like how do you discover wallets right now? You just see someone on Twitter. I use this browser extension called Chainstalker that we built internally. So I can just go over, Francesco's name and I can see he has, his last pull-up check-in is Portugal and Lisbon. And, he has $14,000 in his public wallet. Like it's as simple as just scrolling over his profile and seeing his information. But I really see this as being something that we extend on even more, to the NFTs you hold, to the Web3 social activity you have, to folks you've met who have mutual pull-ups being collected. So at least for me, more philosophically, I feel like wallets really will dive into that area. Like your wallet would be almost like your identity passport, but no more alpha there to share except for, this sort of social wallet discoverability that I just told.
So extension of that question, Abhishek. If wallets get synonymous with identity, do you also foresee the possibility of building Web2 equivalent CIBIL scores or credit worthiness, which will allow for, maybe under collateralized lending, for example?
I'm 100% sure someone's going to build something even crazier than that in the next bull run. Like it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of who's building what. Like in terms of, I guess, breaking your question down, like will the data points exist to technically build, credit worthiness indicators? Yes, and they already exist in terms of like, I don't know, like we for example, when hiring, right? Like we even asked some folks like, what's their DGen score, right? Like that's something as simple as just identifying. In a way, if a person has certain criteria that qualifies them as a DeFi degen, like I think there's the data that will be there. We won't build it ourselves, but if there's something that's widely adopted, like ENS is right now, like we'll definitely incorporate this into our wallet. And I mean, speaking of that, like we already are, now realizing that Web3 social is an area to focus on quite heavily, like especially seeing the quality of discussions and differentiation in like ecosystems like Forecaster versus just public X forums. So I think that's the start of like a ton of other infrastructure around under collateralized lending or even like peer-to-peer lending to come about pretty soon.
Interesting, but does that also, as a user, put a target on your back? For example, if you're holding $1.4 million in that wallet.
Yeah, it's I guess it's more of a also like what kind of user are you, right? Like if you're a degen, you really might have a burner wallet as your public.eth, but you have a lot of other wallets that can't really link to it. Like the average Zerion user has, I think, about 7 wallets connected. And these are not just Zerion wallets. Maybe they're Rainbow wallets or the Ledger wallets. And, we don't cross-associate them because we're privacy focused. So like, I think there's different kinds of personas. It definitely puts a target on your head for being, phished or getting your Twitter hacked or, my Instagram has always been at some point, impersonated by someone else, and they, DM my family saying, hey, like I need some crypto, right? Like there's always that risk just being in crypto and being someone publicly visible. So this would probably, like you say, add more targets, but there'll also be more anti-phishing and defense softwares to counter that.
Maybe I can mention a little bit on the Snap side, right? So with this public beta, we came out with this with three main categories, right? Interoperability is one, but there is also transaction insights and notification, right? For any person that, I don't know, play like any game, for notification, even like wallet to wallet chats. That's actually quite cool. But like there are so many other like categories that we are seeing like Snaps being too, right? Like decentralized identity, where you guys touched a little bit also on social graphs. That's also quite exciting. I mean, privacy, AA for specific social recovery. There are different like use cases that we definitely like see popping up more. There is no direct alpha. I think like the like the Snaps developer would be able to actually provide that in the future, but I think it's just exciting to see how many different use cases can be built and kind of like being like thought off, right? The end question here is really like what are really users will care about, right? Like if we're continuing building like the same features on different tech stack, I think that will be not very relevant. Actually, we will have more users that will confused about, okay, what I will need to use now, right? That's why the ecosystem is playing also a lot of like a lot of the decision making there. But yeah, it's just super exciting to see.
At the risk of making myself and obvious irrelevant, right? So maybe if we have the way that crypto is supposed to move, and if we get the future that we want, I would assume that the wallets become so native to ourselves that it's built into the OS that we have, and we don't even have to think about what wallets we're using. Maybe then we can start thinking about, like you're mentioning about modules for account abstractions that you're talking about, interoperable module that we can add, like the card module that we were talking about, which you can then start looking at. So I think that's what I would like to see 2-3 years down the line, and hopefully that's something which everybody has in the pocket, and you don't have to worry about what wallet is it that you carry.
I agree very much with you. I also hope that down the line, we won't really care, whether we are using this or that wallet. As right now, we are not really caring, do we use a Visa or MasterCard, because the transaction is happening very smoothly without any need to bridge or without any complications for the user. Sender, Zoe, do you want to add something?
Sure. So as we peer into the future, there are several key trends and features that will shape the evolutions of soft wallets, transforming the way we interact with cryptocurrency and also digital assets. The first one I think is NFT management. So some may claim the NFT craze has subsided, but crypto itself was declared dead more than 100 times. So I believe that NFT will come back stronger each time, just like how Bitcoin performs. So soft wallets will play a central role in this resurgence by offering users the ability to seamlessly store, stand, and also trade NFTs. This means a comprehensive NFT management experience, enabling users to explore, trade, and interact with the world of digital collectibles directly from their wallets. Second, I think is on and off ramp crypto. Well, soft wallets like Metamask, also SenderWallet, have already ventured into this territory, and we have merely scratched the surface of what is possible. The future promises even greater convenience. So soft wallets will become comprehensive financial hubs and offering users not just access to crypto but also simplify on and off ramp. The third one I think is social figure. So try to picture this. We are not just checking Twitter for the latest update from crypto influencer. We are also doing it directly from our wallet. So soft wallet will usher in an area of heightened and engagement with the crypto community. So P2P messaging will bridge the gap between user to different wallets. Whether we are using SenderWallet or other wallets, Trust Wallet, also Metamask Wallet, the concept of P2P messaging will be the game changer. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. Francesco, you wanted to add something, right?
Yeah, no, I just want to build on what Jebu say, that I think also like a big part of like the game here is the, you know, that whatever we're building, like we still need to keep all the education kind of the education like vertical very strong for both like end users and developers, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody is a builder, everybody will need to try to do something, and everybody need to be fully, let's say, kind of fully educated, not just educated, but like our job is not just, you know, building a product, but also like advocating for a better you know, for a better web3 and responsibilities in web3. So I think this is a big responsibility that it will not go away, even if wallets will go down to a much lower layer, and they will basically being like they say non-used by users, right? Because our big goal is still like being a advocate of this ecosystem and educating much more through like different initiatives like our users in our space, even like, you know, welcoming much more like web2 users in our space with that.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. And in fact, I think we should strive as a Web3 space for, much more straightforward and easier learning and education. Because I remember the first time when I just was entering crypto and this whole scene, there were so many new terms to learn. And it was kind of difficult find the path to learning and finding the right materials, finding and understanding what project is a scam and what project is not a scam. How do I make sure of that? So we definitely need to keep education at the very epicenter of whatever we are building, whether it's a wallet, where it's a DeFi product, or a DApp. Yep.
100%. I really need to jump off soon, but I mean, an example was Metamask Learn, right? Like just providing like fully white label tutorials for users that people can use. It drove a lot of like how do you say impact to full end users. Like we discover, you know, different people running in Central America, like universities for moms just doing payments for their grocery store, because moms are running like you know, families and businesses, you know, like it was with and the education was through like MetaMask Learn. So I don't know, it's just very interesting, you know. Sometimes we are very focused on the let's say the product development side, and we are just how do you say undervaluing some other aspects, how we can bring the like a bigger ecosystem, a bigger web2 user base into this ecosystem.
Awesome, guys. Do you have any other thoughts to share? You're very welcome.
I think this is great. Let's do it again on other topics too.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the intent, guys. I mean, to bring the ecosystem together and to have these kind of meaningful discussions. I think it has been really great. So let's, you know, give the audience a couple of minutes. If somebody has a question, please request, and we'll be happy to take your question, and then we can probably wind up for the day.